I'll try to get.
Hey guys, my name is Paul Brumbaugh. It is April 8th, Friday, April 8th, and I'm sitting here in edgestudiosonline.com studios in downtown San Francisco. And we were just asking or talking about, is there any restrictions on language? No. So if you're a child, please tune away. Get away from these part of the interwebs. Go find something like pretty kitten videos or something. I don't know. But I'm here sitting back with comedian and friend Candy Shaw. How are you, dear?
I'm doing great. How you doing?
Very well. I'm going to get you on there sooner or later. There we go.
Cool.
All right,
I'm trying
cool.
to pull up the Facebook feed.
Oh, yeah. No. You got to pull up the Facebook feed. We're at least 47 seconds into the Facebook feed. So there we go. Look at that. You're even getting the time delay, which would be great. Yeah, you go and share that. There you go.
Just right post.
Mm-hmm. We are learning here.
Excellent.
There we go. We're learning so much that you're actually right there on there. And there's your camera, by the way, up on the wall.
Hi, camera.
Yeah, there you go. So I'm sitting here with you because I just met you for the first time about a month and a half ago at a show that we did in the upper Tenderloin, lower Knob Hill. I like to call it the Tender Knob area of San Francisco, right in between. But I'd known of you for probably at least 10 years because of a mutual friend. Mm-hmm. But you go back to 2006 doing comedy.
I do.
And did you start here in the Bay Area?
I did. I am one of the many people who can say that I did my first set at the Brainwash with Tony Sparks.
Oh, wow.
So I feel like that's a special club.
That is a special club. And such a special club that I actually...
Caller, what's your question?
Yeah, long-time caller, first-time listener, yeah. But that's it. And I apparently forgot to put in do not disturb mode. By the way, that's what you're supposed to do, folks, just to let you know.
I did that.
I know you did. I didn't, apparently. Okay, so you started in 2006 and you actually did a set at the Punchline with Tony Sparks?
Brainwash.
At the Brainwash.
Oh, yeah.
At the Brainwash.
The Punchline came much later than that.
Much later.
I had to put in my dues.
Okay, there we go. And then I noticed that we got the mic right in front of your face. Did you notice that?
That better? Oh, okay.
Kind of. Yeah, but that was my fault. See,
Like
I lined it
so?
up. Now I can see you.
Hi,
Yay.
fans.
Hi, fans. There you go. Okay, so you started in 2006 at the Brainwash, and that's an interesting venue. No longer there on Folsom and 7th. Isn't that sad?
That makes me a little sad, yeah.
It does. I understand. So you started there. That was your first set. That's kind of baptism by fire.
Yeah, unlike a lot of people though, I did really well my first set. Most people bomb. That I did very well. But then I came back the next week because I didn't really know what to do. I went to the Brainwash one week and then I waited a week and went to the Brainwash again. I didn't quite catch on that, okay, there are other open mics, there are other places you need to go. And then the second time was, okay.
Right.
But I, had enough fun that I wanted to keep doing it. And I told Tony knew, I think, that I lived in Oakland, so he directed me towards some East Bay open mics. So Tony was just very, he's just such a great guy. What can you say? Tony's just so helpful and supportive of young comedians.
And then you were in it for a while. Yeah. You were in it for about 6 years, and then all of a sudden you were MIA.
Mm-hmm.
And it was kind of took everybody by storm because you just dropped out. And some people make a big exodus. Yeah. If they leave comedy, they kind of sometimes will leave a big exodus. You just kind of left silently.
Yeah, sort of. Yeah, I remember. I think I posted a status update on Facebook that I was done, and I remember one person saying, "You'll be back," and I was like, kind of annoyed, like, "Yeah, well, I'll show you." And I think I didn't post about it publicly or anything, but I was just kind of burnt out. I think the last 2 years I was in it, I wasn't feeling it. Maybe I just should have taken a break or did something else in addition to comedy. Meaning maybe try to, do a podcast or some kind of acting, it's nice to have not just stand up be your main focus.
Right.
But a lot of people, they asked me well, what happened? Did you got married, you had a kid or whatever? I did not have a kid. I did meet my husband in 2009. He loved, that I was doing stand up. He's more into stand up than I am. He just, is such a fan of it. And what can I say? I mean, I was happy and in love, and
You were in a good place in your
yeah.
life,
And I
right?
also, around the time when I met him, I got my dog, and I just loved.
Okay, well, that's it all right there, right?
So everybody, I quit because I got Precious.
Oh, is that what Precious is? Okay.
Yeah.
So what kind of dog is Precious?
Well, she's a dead dog now.
Oh. She's extra precious now. Oh, no.
She was a good girl. She had a great life. It's funny. She came into my life when I was actually doing a radio show with Ben Feldman, and we were at the Pirate Cat, like the coffee shop.
Right. Pirate Cat Radio, which was a
Yes.
coffee shop for a long time. So
Yes. And so we heard there was this dog barking, and I guess she lived next door, and she escaped from the owner. She ran in, and the lady said, she wanted someone to take this dog or she was going to kill it.
Oh, geez.
And I kind of gave her a pass. I'm like, I hope she didn't mean it, because like English wasn't her first language. So I'm like, I hope she didn't mean to be that harsh, but in case she is, I'm going to take the dog.
Right. Oh, my God.
So that was the Precious Candy origin story.
Oh, so that's you were kind of, it was a rescue.
It was a rescue.
So a couple of my dogs were that way too.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, don't they seem to claim us?
Yes.
All animals seem to claim us. I feel like I'm the latest victim, but my latest animal that's part of our family found us like 2 months ago. I was getting out of my car, and all of a sudden, meow, meow, meow. And I'm like, oh, what's going on? And cat's coming right towards me and around my legs and giving me tons of love. And I'm allergic to cats.
Oh, okay.
And so I'm like, okay, pet, nice kitty. And then I got to go wash my hands.
Yeah.
Because otherwise my eyes get all puffed up and everything else. But so hanging out. And then anyway, that cat claimed us, has not left, and is now pregnant. And I think was pregnant the day it claimed us.
Ah, okay.
Because we went and verified it didn't have a chip. Then we looked for signs, around the neighborhood, lost kitty. Because it was a really cute cat and it was very loving, and but you could tell it had been out in the weather for a little
Oh, poor cat.
bit. Yeah.
Well, glad the cat found you.
Yeah, the cat found us, and so now we're waiting, and it could be any day that we're having kittens.
Oh, okay. Okay.
Which I'm like, are you sure that the cat's? Oh yeah, the cat's pregnant. My
Okay.
wife told me the cat's pregnant, and then all of a sudden the cat started growing, and I'm like, yeah, the cat's pregnant.
Oh, yeah.
Because the cat was only like a year old anyway. It was a kitten of its own.
Yeah. Did you give it a pregnancy test?
Yeah, I had it pee on a stick, and that was it. Imagine that. Congratulations. Yeah. That's actually what the vet. So, yeah, we actually had the vet confirm it, and they said, yeah, now not only do you have a cat of your own, you're going to have kittens.
Ooh.
Congratulations. And I'm like, do you give
Eek.
out cigars or what?
Yeah.
Yeah. But yeah, it's such a cute cat that my son's been Instagramming about it, and I think we already, have plenty of people that want a kitten,
Oh, good.
which is
Good.
nice, right?
good.
But yeah, so you saved your dog,
Yes.
Precious,
Yes.
and so between Precious, the new dog, the new husband,
Yes. Well, boyfriend at the time.
boyfriend at the time.
Oh no, we were engaged around the time I quit.
How far were you in to the relationship?
So we were together about 3 years.
Okay.
Yes, and we were living together. Let's see. Yeah, so we got engaged, and I was really on the fence about sticking with stand up, and I had a couple of bad shows that really gave me the push out,
Yeah.
and I never posted about it publicly. But I was doing this show, and this was at a restaurant in Danville. You might not expect this. This one, there were a couple hecklers, and I normally love hecklers because I'm very good at telling people off. That's one of the reasons I enjoy stand up.
So you got a little bit of a tough skin, and you know how to retort.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes. And I wish I had written this down. I didn't keep a journal or anything. So again, this was 10 years ago. So I'm a little fuzzy on the details.
Right.
This one heckler, he was just such a pain in the ass. And I do remember that he looked like Danny Trejo, but his name was Dana. And he was, let's say they overserved him. He actually left the place. I think it was called Marcella's or Marcello's in Danville. I'm going to throw them under the bus. Sorry.
That's all right.
Don't eat there, everybody. Roaches the size of cats.
They put saddles on them and let the kids ride them
Yes.
around.
He was visibly drunk, came back. I was like eating my meal. I got a free meal out of it anyway.
Wow.
And I can't remember the exact words. I'm not even going to try to make it up, but I do know that I just, I basically was like telling him what a piece of shit he was for heckling and to go fuck himself and all this other stuff. And I cannot remember exactly what he said to me, but I do know that he threatened to rape and kill me in the parking lot.
What?
Yeah. I don't remember if I called. So Andy's my husband. He's my fiance.
Of course,
at the time,
right when
yeah.
you did that, I had to
Right.
run over to the board behind us to adjust something, and I'm like, wait.
And I wish I could remember his exact words because it's like it would make the story so much better. But I'm like, I don't want to lie.
Right.
So that happened, and I didn't like go to any authorities or whatever because I was just like, I just want to go home. And I was in tears. And I normally like never let like a bad show or a heckler bother me, but I also never had anything like that happen. I never had anybody like threaten my safety. So I drove home, and this was like 2 weeks before I quit, and I wasn't feeling it. And I'm crying to Andy, and he consoles me and stuff. So it's a couple days later, maybe like the next week, I'm doing another show. And it was a venue in Oakland. Now, it wasn't like a stage per se. It was more like a little performing area. How we kind of like make performing areas.
Yeah, it's lucky even if you get a pallet with some rug on it, it's more just a little piece of real estate, which could be even next to a door. It could be
Yes.
next to whatever. Oh, that's where a dinner table was.
Right.
And so, yeah, so it's just you get this little area.
Yeah.
And here's your microphone talk.
So I'm trying to remember. I know Corinda Dobbins was there, and
Okay.
I never really got to know her very well, but I know I think she like just put out an album or something, so she's clearly doing well. Anthony Hill, Liz Grant, Pat and Barry Katzman were there.
Wow.
But nobody really kind of saw what the worst part of the story is. So I get up and I'm hosting the show. And I'm doing my spiel or, doing my shtick, whatever. And this guy, he, and again, I don't remember what he was saying, but he was drunk and he was Irish and he even had the accent. I'm just kind of like, oh, great. Way to keep stereotypes alive.
Right.
And he just would not stop. He wouldn't shut up. He wouldn't leave me alone.
And nobody else kind of jumped in.
Nobody did. Now, I'll finish first.
Go ahead.
The thing is, I could have asked for help, but I just didn't. Like in the moment, I was just kind of like,
Right. Even if there's, let's say, okay, depending on what your role that is that night, I'm guessing you were just hosting. You were guest hosting in a room for someone else.
It was my own room.
Oh,
Yeah.
it was your
Yeah,
own room.
I
So
did that.
you were the one woman band.
Yeah.
Basically, you were producing, you were hosting, you were almost bouncing people too at that
Right,
point, or at
right.
least going security. Johnny, come get this guy.
Well, that's what I should explain too. Like this was like the back room. So I actually called it back room comedy because there's a whole front of the bar where people are just doing whatever they want. And then if you want to see the comedy, that's in the back, and then
Right.
you can hear us. This guy would not.
But no one could hear you scream.
Exactly.
Oh no, so here's the good thing. There's a good secluded place to do comedy, but
Yeah.
the bad thing is it's a secluded place to do comedy.
Right.
So you're back there and there's comics in the room,
Yeah.
and then there's this drunk Irish heckler.
Yes.
Okay.
So he walks into my space,
Uh-oh.
whips his dick out.
Oh no.
I don't remember exactly what happened, but I said, that's it. We're done. Show's over.
Oh yeah.
And I, again, was in tears, down my car. Went out to my car. Nobody really knew what happened. I want to say maybe weeks later, I think the Katzmans had a suspicion, and either Barry or Pat were like, did that guy whip it out at you? And I'm like, yeah, he did.
Why
But
did
they
he go up
couldn't
in
see.
front of you? Oh, because
Yeah.
his back is to him, and all he did was pull out his thing.
His back was to everyone.
Right.
I'm thinking,
Well, it's okay. So it's like you're a guy at a urinal. You don't have to show that you're actually bare in the back.
Right. Right.
All they see is the back of your jeans, which are still up.
Yeah.
And he pulled out his thing.
Yeah.
And yeah, okay.
And it's like, and you look back now, of course I can laugh about it now, but it's like,
Oh,
did he think I was going to get on my hands and knees and service him after
Yeah, hold on,
he ruined
everybody.
my
Oh
show?
God, this thing's so beautiful. Hold on. It's a career stopper.
And so, yeah, small and limp. I mean, it's like, and he's drunk anyway. I was just like,
Are you
that was
Irish?
it.
It looks like a potato. That's weird. It's transform.
With his eyes growing out of it.
Oh my gosh! Exactly. Oh my gosh!
See, I
You
know.
should- yeah.
Someday this will turn into a bit. Yeah.
Well, I think this is okay. So this is how we do it. We farm it out.
Yeah.
If we weren't on Facebook Live and YouTube Live, I would say okay, nobody's watching, but people were watching. But this is what I used to do back in the good old podcasting days, where you could actually go back and go, "Hey, we spent 2 hours talking to each other. There's at least a minute or two of really good material in there." But yeah, no. I mean, okay. So how much time was there between incident 1 and incident 2?
I would say a week.
Holy shit!
Yeah.
You were traumatized.
Yeah.
Holy
And this
shit.
was 2012 too. This was like before Me Too.
Oh, yeah.
Hashtag Me Too. Whereas like
What is that? 5 years before, right?
that's been the old days when we used to just take it.
Yeah.
Whereas like if that happened now, and especially after
People would be canceled. People
Yeah.
would be thrown in jail
Yeah.
unless your name is Will Smith.
Right.
Hey, so I'm hoping he'll come and slap me.
Yeah.
Not when I'm on stage.
Oh man.
Okay, yeah, I know.
Yeah.
Here we go. We're still talking about that though, because a lot of
Yeah.
people are just still, especially performers, are really kind of outraged.
Yeah.
I think my biggest problem is, where was security? How did he even get it halfway to the stage before getting slapped down? Now, if you were in a bar, if you were a
Right.
comedian in a San Francisco bar and you're talking dirt about someone's spouse or lover or whoever's sitting
Right.
next to them, yeah, chances are somebody's going to come at you.
Yeah.
And so you better be willing to back up whatever you're saying.
Mm-hmm.
That's why I think the only time I ever talked dirt about people is when I was talking truth to power.
Okay.
People like Trump,
Yeah.
which I guess you still got to realize he's still a human being, but
Is he though?
yeah, but is he, that's what I mean. But is he though? So, I mean, okay, so you went through both of those within a week.
Yeah.
And it sounded like the comedy universe was like saying, yeah, you need to kind of
We
like,
want you out of here.
or at least
You're no longer welcome,
I
little
don't
girl.
know if it's not that you were no longer, it's just that this isn't it for me.
Yeah.
This is not what I was here to do.
Yeah.
I mean, both times you just had really people that were either overserved or just had issues.
Yeah. Both. Yeah, definitely. Both. Yeah, both of them were drunk.
Right.
I left. I just shut it down. And then the next day, the owner of the bar called me to see what had happened. And I was like, yeah, I just, I told him what happened. And he was such a good guy. He's like, you could have I would have gotten rid of him for you. And I said, you know what? I know that now, but I was in the moment
Oh,
and
yeah.
I just didn't think. I was just like, my main thing was, I want this to stop. And I like apologized to the comics. I'm like, I'm so sorry, you wasted a night and you didn't even get to do a set. And,
You were in the middle of your opening set.
yeah. Yeah. So,
Yeah, something tells me you were kind of, even going into that. How do you remember your attitude before that, going into that night? Were you like, okay, last week, we're going to be fine. We're just moving forward?
I think
Because it was two different venues, right?
yeah.
So it wasn't
one
like
was-
your room week 1 and week 2. It was
Right.
you were doing a guest set at someone else's room the first time.
Right. The first one. It was actually I think it was Sandra Risser booked the show.
Oh, really?
She had no idea what had happened. I don't think any of the comics knew what happened. David Kleinberg was sitting near me. He knew that I was upset, but I don't know if he heard everything. But I even
So
left without pay.
this okay. So here, this goes out to all the comedians that are listening to this interview.
Yes.
you need to back up your fellow comedians. If you see something going down, you need to be there for them. And it's like, what do they say when kids walk home from school, walk in pairs? Even if you're that loner comic, because quite honestly, each and every one of us is that loner comic, buddy up with somebody, know somebody, at least somebody that can at least be your witness in court. I don't know.
Yeah.
Because, like you said, that's 5 years prior to hashtag Me Too. But that would have happened in my room, I would have been calling police. At least the second one. The first one, the guy would have just got tossed.
Yeah. Well, it's funny too. I mean, it's not funny. Well, whatever. We can make anything funny, but I don't think I had even told like Ben Feldman about it. And Ben's like my oldest, like, comedy friend. And he's like, well, that's like assault, or I forget exactly how he worded it, but I'm like, yeah, you're right. I mean, if somebody, that's indecent exposure, at least,
Right.
It was very indecent.
Very indecent, very indecent.
And the crazy thing is, I would not know that guy if he just walked in here today. Like, I don't remember the face at all. I just know he has an Irish accent, and
the other guy was he was just really brash. He got because he was the guy, the Danny Trejo looking guy. I had to remember. I had to put myself back into your story.
Bad Machete.
Bad Machete. There you go. So with him, he was just going at you kind of viciously, and nobody was coming to your.
Yeah.
And nobody could hear the exchange because was he up close?
Well, I after the show,
because he came into your space. That's the one that came into your space.
Because I had dealt with him, and then there was another heckler who wouldn't shut up, and he had said something like, "Well, he was related to the owner or something."
Full moon? What was going on?
I think that's it. Mercury in retrograde.
Yeah.
So that guy, I dealt with him, and then of course the Danny Trejo guy was like another story.
Right.
And like I said, he was visibly intoxicated, left, came back, and was served again. And I'm just remembering, I just know, like, based on some things he said, like, he was a regular there.
Right.
And there was some of that, like, don't you know who, or you don't know who I am kind of thing. It's like, yeah, I don't know who you are.
Don't you know who I am?
Nobody knows who you are.
Yeah. Wow.
So, yeah.
Entitlement. Isn't that a great thing, folks?
Yeah.
All right.
Good times.
So let me see. In the game at 06, out of the game in 12.
Yep.
Fast forward 2022. Here we are again.
Yeah.
What brought you back?
A pandemic.
Really? Okay.
A lot of it. I mean, when I was home, I wasn't thinking about doing my day job on Zoom. Like, that does not appeal to me at all. But I was just drawn towards more entertainment stuff. Like, I just like to listen. I listen to, quite a few shows on Sirius. I listen to Heather McDonald has a great podcast. She's a comedian. I listen to Stern. I just wanted funny, and I wanted entertainment. And I was kind of itching to come back, like, months before I did.
Right.
So it was really, like, honestly, like, being stuck at home, and so many, like, horrible things were happening. It was, the pandemic, and then, watching, George Floyd and Ahmaud Arbery get murdered over and over again.
Oh.
I was just kind of like, part of me was just like, I wish I had.
You wanted to
I want
scream.
a voice. Yeah. Yes.
You
exactly.
wanted to scream, and you wanted to be heard, at least in some fashion.
Right. Not that my comedy is gonna heal any of those things or change it, but I was just like, I just thought, like, I think I just want to, like, express myself creatively and
a safe place in a positive way, even if it comes out negative sometimes. Because so is it true for you also that? So let me back up. So did you end up writing a joke, or did you just end up starting journaling, or what happened?
Yeah.
And then did you know what you were doing when you were doing it?
Oh, good question.
Or when did that light bulb moment happen that you're like, oh no, I'm writing comedy?
Yeah, I started writing things like I first I just wanted, like, I just did, like, some stupid videos that I just thought were silly and funny. And
They were for you.
yeah, like I got a blonde curly wig and I was pretending to be Ruth from Ozark and just
Okay,
stupid stuff
cool.
like that.
Right. All right.
And I was just like, yeah, I want to do like just funny, goofy videos. And I thought about maybe doing something that wasn't stand up, but that was like just making videos. But I mean, everybody, so many people do that. And it's okay if one more person does it. But I also thought about maybe doing a podcast someday. I don't know if I want to, maybe, someday. But you also think like, well, why would somebody want to listen to this? It's like you kind of have to be something else for people to listen in a way. You know what I mean? Like I listen to a podcast if it's somebody who I already know and like.
Right.
Like
I respect
that
their
makes-
opinion
yeah.
and what they're doing with their life, and it's
Yeah.
like, oh, okay, I can kind of, what do they have to talk about? Where are they coming from? So I know
Yeah.
with me, it has to be that I need to be able to relate to the person, and if it's entertaining, I also have to go, where the hell are they coming from? And so there has to be a little bit of both. And I'm really open minded. I'll listen to people because especially if I already respect them on one level or one front already, I'm willing to listen to a podcast. Like, oh, I hear Candy Shaw's got a new podcast. I can't wait to hear it. It's called Candy Shop. I don't know. So, yeah, I know.
Hey, I like. Let me write that down.
With an E at the end, remember? Okay, so, but I would be like, oh, she's really funny and she's insightful. I'd like to listen to a podcast and see. And that's how they get me.
Yeah.
It's kind of like the bread they put at the table before the meal. It's like, oh, okay.
Yeah.
I'll nibble a little. Oh, that's good.
Yeah. Like I love my trash TV. I am like a Real Housewife super fan.
Right.
I will any Real Housewife who puts out a podcast, I will at least listen to one episode. Like I'm like
Right.
It's like I already know her from that. And let's see if she can carry a show, And like I listen to Jeff Lewis. He's on Sirius. Like he used to have a show Flipping Out. Heather McDonald, I heard Heather on another podcast and I knew her from Chelsea Lately, but I wasn't really into her. But then I gave the podcast a chance and I'm like, oh my God, she talks about a lot of pop culture stuff that I like. So I'm in.
So that's what I mean. And you realize, oh, okay, this person I like on multiple levels. I can actually dig this. And then there's other people who are like, oh, that's their attitude. I thought that was a stage persona, or I thought that was this or that. I've listened to a few podcasts. I'm trying to think of one right now, but none of them really stick out. But where you're like, oh, I'm going to try this out. And you get about 15 minutes in and you're like, oh, I'm really trying to I'm trying to give you the benefit of the doubt. Come on. It's kind of like sometimes when you were a host of a show or a producer of a show and there's a comedian on stage and they're doing okay, but then they start bombing. And you're like, wow, they've got 5 more minutes till I'm supposed to pull them. But man, they've been dying for a minute or two. And it's like, do I give them the light or do I not? Can they pull this nosedive out? And it's like you're constantly wanting to, okay, ooh, good. They got them laughing. Oh, no, they didn't. Like, come on off.
Yeah.
And so, yeah, I really try to give people the benefit of the doubt, especially with podcasts. But there's so many of them. So what do you think would set your
too many.
podcast if you had a podcast? What would it be? I mean, you like pop culture.
Yes.
What else stimulates you?
I do like a lot of true crime stuff or any kind of like documentary. It doesn't have to be true crime. Like it could be what do I listen to?
Can
Like,
it be
I
silly,
listen to-
like murders in the building?
Oh, sure. I
Did you
haven't
see that?
watched it, but I kind of know what it's about.
And that's
Yeah.
pretty spoofy of the crime
Yeah.
series, so that's pretty good. You should watch it.
Okay.
So what else? I mean, right in that realm.
I thought, and I'll put this out there because I'm not willing to put in the work right now. And I told Pippi Lovestalking about this. So if you know, Pippi Lovestalking is one of our, I think Pippi moved to LA. Maybe, but
No, she's still here.
Pippi's getting a lot of work. And
Yeah.
I said, Pippi, I've meant to tell you this a million times. I would love someone to do a documentary or a podcast about Pippi and Heclina's history and how they got together they came up with Tranny Shack and what a success that was.
Oh, yeah.
And then they had a falling out and then they're friends again. I feel like that's a lot of episodes we could probably get into.
Hey, Scott,
So,
if you
yes.
see Pippi, hey, Scott, if you see Pippi, let her know that we're
Yeah.
looking for her.
Yeah.
I'll reach out to you later. Better than reaching around to you later. That's low bearing fruit. So anyway, had to do it. But no, okay, so that's good. So you would like to do things like that, but I have a feeling the next show would be something totally different.
Yeah, because that sounds like a lot of work. And then I thought about doing one about my own past. Now, this is a very popular topic these days. There are a lot of documentaries and things about like cons or like, Dirty John. A lot of stories about people getting conned. Unfortunately, it's usually the women getting conned.
Really? Is it always women?
Yes.
Oh, wow. Because I know a couple
sure
women have
men-
gotten conned lately.
I'm sure some men have gotten conned, but the
Or
whole
the elderly. Go ahead.
yes, the whole Dirty John. I don't know if you're familiar with that. So Dirty John was a show on Bravo.
Okay.
Before it was a show, it was actually a podcast, and somebody wrote an article. And I don't know if I think the article came first, but Dirty John was this real man, John Meehan, who was a total con artist, dirtbag, like took advantage of women, lived double lives and stuff. So now, like, that's kind of a slang for guys like that. We call them Dirty Johns. My first husband was a Dirty John.
Oh.
And it's something like I never talk about it on stage or anything. I did write a rough draft of a book, but I was like, that would probably be like an interesting kind of docu series because
Right.
I'm friends with his second wife. Like I think he's up to 5 or 6 wives now.
Yeah, I
He-
think
yeah.
I've known a couple people where they're like 3 or 4 in, and you're like, wait, is
Yeah.
that just because you can't stay in a relationship, or is it because you're a damaged individual that probably should be alone?
Yeah. Like,
You know?
I mean, there's a lot there. There's a lot.
And then a lot
yeah.
of all those people, like the ones you're talking about, are all about like kings of manipulation,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
And they're all about it's the power trip. It's about having
Yeah.
control of your life, and it's. Ugh.
Yeah.
Yeah, no, I feel for you, and I think there's a lot of people that have gone through that and can relate to that.
Yeah, I think that's why too that I would call that actually like a genre right now. Like that genre is pretty popular.
Is
There's
it really?
Netflix, The Tinder Swindler. This guy was meeting women on Tinder and and he swindled them. But no, he'd like
No way. How did they come up with the title so
Yeah.
unique?
but he would con one woman out of money and then like wine and dine the next one with the money.
Right.
And then there was this one that just came out. Bad Vegan was the kind of the big hit a couple weeks ago. I feel like there's so many, like we keep kind of going like through them quickly. So this woman, Sarma, owned this really trendy New York restaurant. And basically, and this sounds so ridiculous, but this actually happened. This guy conned a lot of money out of her. And one of the things he promised her was immortality for her and her dog.
Really? Whoa.
Now, at least I didn't fall for that kind of thing. I didn't get into anything supernatural. I just kind of fell for like the happily ever after and
Oh my gosh.
and I, just hoping that he said who he was. Oh yeah, it's a whole and you watch all these documentaries and then it's like, should I even bother leaving my house ever again? It's like,
Well, there's like I was kind of reminds me of some of the stuff like what's the one, Catfish.
yes, yeah,
They have like
similar,
7 or 8 seasons
yeah,
of people getting swindled the same way.
yeah,
And it's like, oh wait. So I think some people do kind of want to help people, and they're they want to be helpful and they want to be good people. And then there's other ones that are like, oh yeah, that's the easiest way to take advantage of certain people. It's like that's the bait, and it's so horrible. So okay, that would be interesting. It'd be
keep
great if
facing
you
the
could
wrong way.
somehow. It'd be great if you somehow. No, you're good. Oh, there you go.
Hi, parents. It's cool because so they can't see, but that's it's so tiny up there.
It is. It's really tiny. It's like the monitor's like this big, and she's like, wait, and then she has to keep looking that way, and but okay. So now you're doing comedy. Now,
Yay.
how long have you been doing stand up?
This time
around.
I started hitting the open mics in December.
Okay.
So I tried, trying to just get out a couple times a week. Right now I still, have the day job. So it's been a little challenging with my hours, but I'm like, you know what? Just have a goal every week, just try to stick with at least getting at least one showcase in and just kind of ease in. So I kind of picked a good time to come back because so many people they're like, "Oh, I'm so rusty. I haven't performed in 2 years." And I'm like, "Oh yeah, try 9."
Yeah, exactly. So no, that is a
Yeah.
good time. Nobody can really kind of
Yeah.
blame you or fault you for it, and
Yeah.
and it is an opportune time. And people are really starving for entertainment,
Yes.
right?
Yeah.
And so I know that the audiences I've been performing in front of have been very gracious.
Yes.
And so have you been running into that same kind of thing? No more hecklers, right?
Absolutely. Yep. And if they heckle me, I'll cut a bitch.
There you go. Well, then are we gonna like? I don't know if we need to like somehow like what did they do? A sacrifice a chicken,
Yeah.
a KFC bucket of chicken before you go on stage or whatever. We'll do that. Okay, so that's good. And then I drew a blank on where I was going with this. So you've been performing since December. It's now April, and summer's here now.
Yeah. It's
And-
just flying by.
Right. And have you been doing a lot of outside venues because now everybody's converted since the pandemic?
I haven't done one outside venue.
Really?
Yeah. How is, I mean, I, in the past I did. I'm remembering now. I'm like, I know I've performed outside at like at least a couple wineries, like, back in the day. It wasn't always great, I mean, how are you finding it? Are you
So it
liking
really
it?
depends. Like, I guess a winery would be okay because it's probably maybe at least staged for it or rigged for it. The other night I was actually telling jokes in between BART cars as BART cars were going by on the over, and
Oh,
it's like,
wow.
oh my gosh, and so I think I only got beat out by BART one time, where I was like, oh, I almost want to repeat that punchline because that or it was really bad, and I'm just going to keep going. So I just kept going, and it
Yeah.
was funny because I kind of said, oh look, people were it even slowed down the train for me.
Wow.
No. So yeah, it's things like that. It's things like traffic going by. It's people getting their orders of food. It's the same stuff,
Yeah.
but now it's outside noises too. So it's just another thing to add to the obstacle course of comedy.
Yeah.
It's another thing to navigate through. So good luck with that when you run into it. So, but at least the weather's nice. I mean, yesterday was so darn warm in the city. I don't even know where we're at today. Where are we at today, guys? I was going to tell you it is something degrees in the city, but I don't even know. Well, that's horrible.
I live in the East Bay. It's like 70-ish.
Right.
Probably. So it's nice. It's comfortable.
Yeah, and yesterday was like 90 something.
Here?
Yes.
Oh.
And it was
okay.
like 89, 90 degrees here. And I was like, wow, that's warm for the city.
Wow. Yeah.
And so we're ready. We're ready for all those things that come with this good weather. So tell us about what you got coming up. I know you got some stuff coming up, right? You have
Yes, I have a show this Saturday in Martinez. I wrote the details down because it's a lot to remember, but all the information is on cococomedy.com. Coco, short for Contra Costa County.
cool.
The Martinez Campbell Theater, and it benefits Her Smile, which I read. I have an overview. I guess it's like supporting people who are going through a grieving process, particularly women. That's why it's called Her Smile. And yeah, all the information that the tickets are like $20, which is great. It's an all female lineup. Carla Clay is headlining.
Awesome.
She's fantastic. I just saw her at the Punchline a couple weeks ago, and she's just funnier than ever. She was great.
Yeah, I love Carla.
And then and Coco Comedy is on Facebook. I posted a flyer on my social media, so mine is Candy Shaw Comedy, and hopefully I'll be posting more just silly, stupid videos that I think is funny, that I think are funny.
Is
and
it
yeah, that's it.
CandyShawComedy.com or just Candy Shaw Comedy on
No.
Facebook, Instagram,
And
Twitter?
Twitter. Yes.
There we
I
go.
don't have a website right now, and I kind of don't. I don't feel like I need one right now. We'll see what happens. I had one the first time around, and that was fine. I think people were more likely to go to websites back then.
Right.
Don't you feel like people they try to find things on social media more now?
They
Is
do.
that
I think
right?
that it's all over the place. It depends on how you get turned on to somebody. But once you get them as a fan, I hope that they're following you on either social media or at least checking out your website if you have things
Yeah.
promote that are outside that realm. Like people are always selling swag and stuff, and it's like,
Oh,
really?
yeah.
So if you're selling T-shirts and DVDs and all that stuff, well, you might want a website because then you can do some sort of virtual marketplace. But otherwise, no, social media. I mean, it's all about getting people out to the shows and getting them to know you, right?
Right.
And so are you going to start feeling comfortable about getting out of this region and going a little bit out further than the Bay and further out?
Yeah, I mean, like the first time around, I did. I loved doing Reno gigs.
Right.
I went out to Oregon for a gig once. I performed in my hometown. I put on a show there, and I know I'm gonna do that again within the next 2 years. I'll probably bring out a friend from here out there again, so that'll be great. Just because, like, yeah, I mean, my hometown, I went to high school there. My family's there. It's like we can, really bring people together. I did that back in '09, and that was really fun. But yeah, I'm willing to go explore a little bit.
Cool. I think we'll go about 5 more minutes or 4 more minutes into podcast, guys. Thanks for joining us. Definitely, you can listen to us live at edgestudiosonline.com, or you can check us out at all the social media. That's right, on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch at this point. And Candy Shaw at all those. So you've been recording and you haven't been releasing your comedy. You've been hoarding it, huh?
I'm hoarding it, yeah.
Yeah, you're at that point where you're developing your material. How's that coming? I mean, is asking how many minutes you have under your belt like asking you how old you are?
Yeah, it's funny. I'm not sure. I would say like super confident to do 10 minutes. 15 minutes. There's definitely going to be a lot of reviewing notes and rehearsing in my head throughout
Or
the
a
day.
lot of, going over stuff.
Exactly.
Okay.
Or even, do a little crowd work. I threw away a lot of old material. I'm sure some of my jokes were a little problematic. A little, might get
Why
me,
was it a sign of the times?
might get me canceled today. I used a couple words that I wouldn't say on stage anymore.
Oh, really? That's great. Okay, cool.
And I remember at the time, like there was one joke I did. Two people like confronted me in 6 years, and my attitude was like, "Well, fuck you if you're offended."
Right.
And now, like a little bit more evolved me is like, you know what? I meant it as a joke, but if it seriously hurts people, I don't want to do it anymore.
Right.
But still, fuck them. No.
Exactly. No, I mean, you have to have some sort of integrity, but you also like, we were just talking about in the beginning of this, we were talking about the slap on the Oscars.
Yes.
And it's like, I didn't get into this business to make people feel bad.
Yeah.
So I'm not an
that's it,
insult
yeah.
comic, but there's people that are insult comics and people enjoy them.
Yeah.
People want to see them. People pay tickets to go see them. Don Rickles, for one.
Yeah.
Not anymore.
You
You wouldn't want to pay tickets. That's a little morbid, Paul. But okay, so, but yeah, but I mean, yeah, that's the reason I would never do it. But I'm also, I guess that's not my niche.
Yeah.
So,
Yeah. Like I can have, I mean, I'm an insult comic with my husband. Like the more horrible, degrading things I tell him, like he starts laughing. he loves it.
Right.
But I wouldn't feel comfortable berating strangers like that. You just berate the one I live with, and he gets it.
right. No, I get it.
We have an insult marriage.
we have this understanding, him and I. That's
Yeah.
good. No, okay. All right. So I'm really glad to finally meet you after all these years. Yay.
Me too.
Thank you for hanging out with us. And guys,
You're
you
welcome.
definitely check out Candy Shaw. She's going to be all over the Bay,
Yes.
including this one Saturday.
Yes, the Martinez Campbell Theater. Make sure I got it in the right order. And yes, I will be exploding soon. So please follow my social media.
That's right. Check her out now before you have to have a 2-drink minimum and buy a $25 ticket and
Yes.
pay for parking and all that stuff. So again, thank you. And I hope to have you back again soon in Ed Studios.
Oh,
with
sure,
us.
of course. I'd love to be back. Yep.
Thank you, Candy.
you.
All right, guys, keep standing up. My name is Paul Brumbaugh, and we'll see you next time here on The Edge, guys. Good night.